Hello and welcome to Marketron Mobile. Today we're going to be running through the programming strategy for your individual radio stations. You've probably seen over the years opportunities to do text to wins, text for requests, and maybe an enter to win scenario. But ultimately all of this will fuel the overall goal that we are trying to grow ratings for your individual radio stations. And as for an agenda for today, we're going to be basically running through the mobile landscape. We'll just touch on a couple of the different products that reside on that mobile phone and how they relate to your overall strategy. Then we're going to boil down into the rating solution and really what we're able to do for your individual radio stations as an opportunity to bring listeners back to the radio station when they might not have been listening. We'll dive into some concepts on how we're going to be able to drive a lot of the listeners to your online digital assets of the specific radio station. I'll give you a little bit more insight into what your overall mobile network is going to be moving forward, and then we'll just nail down some next steps and then give you a quick test drive of the platform, give you an idea of how easy it is to use and basically what that interface is that your admin people and your jocks will be using on a day-to-day basis. And then obviously, just with it being a recorded presentation, you can follow up with our client service directors with any questions pertaining to the presentation in general. Now let's dive into the mobile landscape and the products that reside on that mobile phone. The old keys wallet phone is the little buzzwords that we have within the mobile medium. These are basically those assets of survival. Really boiling down to the concept that you'd probably run back home to grab your mobile phone even before you'd run back to grab your wallet. The question now as marketers, how are we building market share of our listeners' mobile phone? How are we beginning to get a little bit of real estate so that we're able to market to our listeners day in and day out for months and years to come? The products that reside on that mobile phone, the interesting thing is we don't even call it a cell phone anymore. It is now called a mobile device, and that's primarily due to the fact that we can do so much more on this mobile phone. We are now text messaging about 5 times more often than we are making phone calls. From a smartphone technology standpoint, you're looking at about 1 out of every 2 listeners will own a smartphone by the end of this year. We're searching online, and when we look into the apps and really what's exploded over the past few years, the interesting thing is just 3 years ago, there wasn't a single app on a single phone, and now we've had over 3 billion that have been downloaded. All of this content that we've basically been engaging on our computers for years is essentially available on our mobile phone and really just at the fingertips of us from a content standpoint. The interesting thing is text messaging remains the foundation of everything that we do within mobile marketing. And it primarily speaks to a couple of the different facts that reside around this. 98% of phones are text compatible. 81% of them are 81% of your listeners are text messaging on a regular basis. The average age has grown older than even the median age of the market. So we're really past that tipping point. We've gotten to a stage where essentially everyone is doing this. If we can give them a value proposition to engage your specific station, they will know how to do it if you give them a reason to. And even when we talk about smartphone technology and all of the assets that are really out there on those phones, these are super users of their mobile phone. They're actually text messaging twice as much as the next person. And we're going to run through some strategies here today on how we might be able to take them from that simple text message and basically tap into those other digital assets. Let's dive deeper into what the true ratings opportunity is for your radio stations. The interesting thing is we work with about 1,600 publishers nationwide. That's made up of radio, TV, outdoor, newspaper, you name it, and we've got a mobile solution for them from a traditional media standpoint. But radio by far remains the best call to action that we can get within traditional media, and it primarily speaks to the means by which we utilize radio and mobile. They are the 2 on-the-go mediums in the marketplace. We've talked about for years within radio as it being the most personal medium. Well, that mobile phone has come in and surpassed it from the standpoint that we have it on us at all times. But now what we have is a mass engagement opportunity, in this case utilizing radio for the reach, mobile for that engagement opportunity, providing instant gratification to anything that we talk about on air, We're out and about potentially within the marketplace, so we're at that closest point of action in order to engage your specific brand, and it's all being measured in real time. We can run a contest essentially at 11 o'clock and be able to track the success of that actual program by noon and by 1 o'clock in that same day, just built on the concept of how many messages came in pertaining to that specific call to action. If you were really to boil down what mobile marketing is, it's essentially what email marketing was about 12 years ago when we were all competing for market share of our listeners' email inboxes. The interesting thing is over time, we've obviously had spam come into play, and these open rates have dropped pretty dramatically, where we're down into the 20 to 40%. A lot of our local direct clients are down in the single digits as far as these open rates and so forth. Certainly not a 98% open rate, and typically within the first 5 minutes of receiving a text message. This is the true benefit of what we're really experiencing within the mobile medium right now, and a great time in order to get involved and get your station engaged in this exciting new medium. So let's talk about how we might do that. Let's put that mobile phone right there in the middle, and I'm going to just use this as an example of one of our stations. Text KISS to 68255 to join their mobile club and so forth. Okay, one thing I always like to point out is really just from the standpoint of that number 68255, that is the short code. Obviously the keyword in this case is KISS. We're going to obviously use the keyword, we're going to change the keyword up in order to access different information from the radio station, but that short code will remain consistent in everything that we do. So let's talk about how the jocks, DJs, talent will be utilizing this on air. And basically it's the idea of moving away from that 25th caller mentality where everyone's getting a busy signal and it becomes an empty marketing solution for you as you move forward. What we really want to be able to do here is engage every listener that's engaging the station so that we can move them into mobile databases and continue to market to them as we move forward. The beautiful thing about a mobile or a text message is that when we run a contest on air, those hundreds of thousands of text messages coming in to participate in that specific program are all captured for us to be able to move into a mobile database so that we can then go out and market to them even just the next day. We're going to promote this online within our own mobile website and allow listeners to go on there to sign up specifically and provide us with even more content around their background, their demographics and lifestyles and so forth. Out and about at events, we're going to throw away the little card table and the little box and the tear pad that sits on that. We're going to move it all digitally so that basically we can take everybody that engages our station when we're out and about in the marketplace and immediately move them into a mobile database. A good analogy is maybe you're at a specific concert, people are registering at your specific booth. You can go back to these people an hour after that specific concert and be able to literally say, thanks for attending tonight's event. Tune in tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. as we recap it with behind the scenes VIP access. So wherever the radio station's been out promoting their call letters, their frequency, their URL address, we now have this new mobile call to action, which is text KISS to 68255 with one primary goal in mind, which is getting that number 68255 saved on every one of our listeners' mobile phones like it is their best friend, so that all they have to do is open that contact in their phone book and be able to send individual keywords in order to access different information from the radio station. The idea behind this is we're going to grow a nice good-sized database representative of about 40% of the overall cume of the radio station. Then what we're going to do is complement that with what we call needs-based databases. We don't want to become the new spam of our listeners' mobile phones, so we only want to provide to them content that makes sense to them and super serves their needs on a day-to-day basis. Good analogy for this page is to look at it as the core database as being the homepage of their website or of your website. Whenever you're going onto the homepage to swap out material and content about an upcoming event that's big and considered a tier 1 type event, this is when this would really warrant a text message going out to your core database. I look at the needs-based databases more so as the most trafficked areas of the website. Where are listeners going to access the most information about your radio stations? And those would probably warrant us developing out an individual mobile club for that specific content so that we can super serve their needs. A diehard concert goer doesn't want to receive, will want to receive weekly messages regarding concerts, but if they have no interest in concerts, we don't want to inundate them with those specific alerts. So let's talk about how we might do this. We'll have that on-air call to action of maybe this example, get the inside track on all things KISS by joining our KISS Text Club. Be the first to hear about concerts, events, and chances to win. Text KISS to the number 68255. That's KISS to 68255 and get hooked up. I like to repeat the keyword and short code twice. And mostly if you're new to the mobile medium, I would definitely recommend that this is a process, like explaining this to your listeners like they're 5-year-olds. Basically even get on air and literally introduce the medium to them. Hey, we've gone mobile. Pull out your phone right now. We're going to kick off our program with our first text to win contest. Enter the number 68255 right where you would typically put the phone number and where you would typically say, hey, or provide content like, hey, what's up? That's where you're going to enter in that keyword. In this case, it's KISS. Okay? Really explain it like they're 5-year-olds so that we're really able to engage them and get them to understand how to access the radio station day in and day out regarding our mobile initiative. In this case, everybody that texts the word KISS to 68255 will get a rebound message similar to this. Thanks for joining our mobile VIP club. Be the first to hear about guests, concerts. Maybe we have a viral call to action like tell friends and family. Okay, but we're going to grow these mobile databases about 20 times faster by utilizing what we call text to win contests. In this particular case, we're just giving away some tickets to go see Lady Gaga, so it's the idea of text Gaga to 68255 for your chance to win tickets. And join our mobile VIP club. By including that in our on-air call to action, we could take everybody that registers for this specific contest and immediately move them into the mobile database of the radio station, and therefore growing it that much quicker and that much more efficiently for our needs. And to give some of you that are new to the mobile medium an idea of how this works from an instant gratification standpoint, as you can see within this particular slide, notice the timestamp down the center column off of our platform. You'll notice that it says 828, 828, 829, 829. This is a good analogy of just showing you how when we do a mobile call to action on air, which looks pretty evident that it was done at around 825, using a call to action similar to text Gaga to 68255, our platform will light up for the next 5 to 10 minutes with listeners engaging that call to action. Okay? So our ultimate goal here is to build up that nice, good-sized mobile database that we talked about a little bit earlier, right around 40% of the overall queue on the radio station. And that's so that at any given time, we can go back out to our listeners, and maybe Britney Spears is sitting down with the morning show at 10 a.m. We can push a message out at around 9:30, about a half an hour before that. But what we're enjoying within the mobile medium is the opportunity to send a dedicated text message to the most personal item that our listeners own, with 98% of those messages being open and typically within the first 5 minutes that they're received. Really provides us with an opportunity to truly drive interaction and to truly drive listenership of our specific radio stations. To put this into a brand perspective, one of my clients for years has been Arby's, where we have built mobile databases for them in every market in the United States. Monday is their slowest day of the week. We push a message out to their database at around 11 o'clock with that week's mobile coupon. Okay? But of all the messages that we'll push out at 11 o'clock that day, 33% of them will be redeemed at lunch that day. Okay? We're talking about moving a customer base to act within a few hours of a text message rolling in and going out and literally buying a roast burger in this particular case. buy a roast burger, get a free Coke, buy a roast burger, get a curly fry. These are the weekly offers that we provide, and that's not me jumping up and down about one case study. This is an ongoing weekly couponing redemption opportunity that exists. When you put this into the perspective of a radio station, that was a scenario where we actually sent people to actual locations to purchase product. All we're really looking at from a programming standpoint is to have that listener basically flick the switch on their radio dial and tune into the radio station. Regardless of even our listeners sitting in the office of their daily job and sitting in front of a computer, the reality is that mobile phone sits right next to that computer, and when we activate that database and a message goes off on their phone, they can almost instantaneously read 160 characters on a text message and get the content that you guys are looking to get to that main database. Now that we've illustrated the benefits of utilizing mobile with your traditional programming, let's take this one step further and go beyond the 160 characters of a text message. Start to tap into those other digital assets that reside on that mobile phone. I'm going to go back to the example I was utilizing a little bit earlier where a listener would text in or we would push out a message to the mobile database regarding an opportunity to create appointment radio. But as you'll notice at the end of this message, we actually inserted a mobile initiative ad tag, okay? We're basically cross-promoting our mobile initiative. In this case, it's to listen to Hot 104 on your phone, reply Hot Mobile. We can then send a message to every listener that's engaging this individual offer, and now we're sending out an actual link that will take them directly to the app store of their specific phone. Okay? I like to put this into perspective of destination marketing. It's the idea of taking somebody specifically to a portion of a website to access this information. As you could see, this link doesn't just go to the iTunes store. More importantly, what we're doing is taking them to the app that is in the iTunes store, and now we have a listener that's essentially listening to the radio station within a few minutes after clicking a link and receiving that text message. We can do this same concept with video content. In this particular case, the radio station wants to be the resource for hip-hop in the marketplace, so they push a message out with a link that takes them to the Diddy's new video that's within YouTube. So we're not just taking them to YouTube, but more importantly, specifically to that video. We could be talking about it on the morning show. Hey, have you seen Diddy's new video? Well, if you haven't, text the word Diddy to 23088 and we'll send it to you. Okay? So now we've got a nice interactive tool for them to be utilizing. In this particular case, we might be talking about concerts that are going on and an upcoming concert that is hitting the area. Well, now let's also provide them with an opportunity to gather more information. In this particular case, we're taking them to the website of the radio station, but specifically to the concerts page of that website so that that listener can access more information. Okay? I like to put this into that perspective because as we know, it's still somewhat of a pain to navigate the mobile internet. So by utilizing these tools and taking them directly to this content, we're able to drive traffic to our specific websites and so forth. In this particular case, even do it from a talent perspective, okay? If you have any top tier type talent that's on your radio station, let's make sure that they're building out their own individual mobile databases so that they can use this as an opportunity to super serve their core P1s of their specific shows and so forth. And finally, just from the standpoint of recognizing that that mobile phone is actually a mini computer in many ways, you could take that actual link off of that text message and take them directly to the ticket house, in this case Ticket Horse, where we could literally sell them the tickets to that specific concert. Okay? So now we're actually entering credit card information right on that handheld device and purchasing product. This is a very popular tool in utilizing for 50 off programs at the same exact time. So finally, the one last scenario is everybody's still building out those social networks and that type of thing. In this particular case, we're taking them not just to Facebook and not just to Twitter, but more importantly to the profiles of those individual stations at those individual sites. So now all we're doing is tapping like it and follow it, and we're building those networks out that much quicker and that much more efficiently as we move forward. We might even include them in some sort of a contesting. These are very popular contests contest for us right now where we're doing a text to win opportunity, going back to that Lady Gaga example a little bit earlier, but now we're also going to give away an additional pair of tickets for everybody that joins Twitter and follows us on Twitter at the same exact time. Definitely a great vehicle in order to drive traffic and get followers of your specific radio stations and so forth. Once we've gotten them there, one thing I like to just put into perspective of how to utilize the social networks and complement to your overall mobile strategy is really look at a lot of the networks as being an opportunity for your P1 listeners to basically jump up on that soapbox and be a part of your radio station, voice their own opinions and so forth. But unfortunately, it's still going to follow that social rule of that 99-1 type mentality where 90% of the listeners really aren't going to do much with it. 9 might check in from time to time, but 1% of the overall people within that social network are really the ones driving that overall program. The other thing is recognize you're still in a feed environment, so whenever you're pushing out a message regarding an upcoming event or promotion, you're kind of cluttered within other material that's out there, and most of this is really computer-based. Even though we are accessing a lot of this on our mobile devices, it's even a smaller screen for us to be able to engage then, but the majority of it is being done on our computers and so forth. Look at mobile more as your activator, the opportunity to get every listener that's engaged the radio station for the past week, month, year in one mobile database so we can actually send out a dedicated text message with 98% of those messages being open, typically within the first 5 minutes, and it's mobilely based. They always have their mobile phone on them, so we always enjoy that nice opportunity of that message being open in the first 5 minutes it's received. Now that we've explored some innovative ways in order to engage listeners through these Beyond 160 concepts, let's now explore one additional element that we have to play. The Marketron Mobile Platform is actually unique in that we can serve 40-character ad tags at the end of text messages. Similar to a banner ad that would run on a website, we can rotate different clients and different mobile initiatives of the radio station within that warm dialogue going on between the radio station and its listeners. In this particular case, we're going to use it as an opportunity to cross-promote the overall mobile strategy of the specific radio station. Utilize the mobile network or the last 40 characters of a text message, your 40-character ad tag that you can run within a network. And let's cross-promote different needs-based databases that we were talking about a little bit earlier. In this particular case, the radio station's trying to build out their breaking news alerts. And in this case, that listener, all they would have to do is reply WINS News in order to opt in to receive messages from that specific station regarding breaking news and so forth. We can use it as an opportunity to engage talent. So we might have somebody that is joining a mobile database of a specific talent that's on air. In this case, they're replying McKenna in order to join that mobile database of Vicky McKenna in this case. And then we're building those mobile databases out for her that much quicker and that much more efficiently, and we're not wasting a lot of that on-air type announcement type scenarios. Okay? And then finally, from a social scenario, we can also use it as a link right off of a specific text message, and we can drive people to join us on Facebook in this particular instance. And then just so you're clear as far as when we start to make this available to our local direct clients within the marketplace, we will never send out a dedicated text message regarding a specific client, okay? The mobile database of the radio station is meant exactly for that. It is the mobile database of the radio station, and we're super serving the needs of that specific listener. But in some cases, from time to time, we might include a 40-character ad tag of a specific local business where we're basically pulling up a chair and allowing that business to pitch a concept for their specific business to your listener. And if that listener decides to engage that brand, all they would have to do is reply to that simple text message, and now they're opting into that client's database and accessing more information around a specific program that they have going on at that given time. So ultimately, the goal for the radio station is to build market share of their listener's mobile phone. We'll enhance that a little bit by providing some of those 360 concepts of going beyond the 160 characters of a text message. Ultimately, we're trying to grow the database to right around 40% of the overall QM so that at any given time we can activate that database, push a message out, create appointment radio, and bring listeners back to the radio station when they might not have been listening. Okay, now let's talk about how we might get started with utilizing this exciting new medium for your radio stations. Some things to think about over the next 30 days is definitely touch base with your client service director so that you have the user login list and we're able to give access to everybody that you're looking at as being a part of your administrative team for your mobile initiative. Okay, once we've identified that, we can provide username and logins and all of that, and they're off and running, building mobile programs for the actual stations. Also make sure that we're signing up post this programming call. We're going to want to make sure that you're on an admin call where we're training you. This is a good hour and a half training program on our platform. Very user-friendly interface, so don't get too concerned about it from that standpoint, but this is definitely a scenario where we're going to want to train the super users of the mobile platform so that they're experts at utilizing our platform day in and day out. Also, let's start to develop out a mobile promo campaign, okay? Something where we're going to start talking about that mobile initiative on air. The idea of join our mobile community to find out about concerts, opportunities to win, opportunities to engage talent, those types of things. And that can be a combination of pre-records and lives. 15 seconds in length is usually a good call to action. Also, let's start to map out a couple of text-to-wins. Over the next couple of weeks, it'd be nice to just give this a test drive, do some of those introductory text-to-win concepts that I was talking about a little bit earlier. But let's have the idea where we can get an idea on what that volume of messages will be per contest that we're running and so forth. As long as we're promoting these correctly, we're expecting to have some pretty good response rates and so forth. Let's also get basically the habit of sending out messages. At least in the short term, let's do it every other week, okay? But we want to start training listeners to be familiar with receiving messages from the radio station. If you just send out a message a month or a message every a couple of months, then there is a disconnect to your overall mobile strategy. So I like to create some continuity around the messaging that you're sending to them. So at least over the first 30 days, as you're running those text-to-win contests, light up the database, post that contest, and let's start to create a dialogue and start a dialogue with our listeners on a week-in, week-out basis. Let's make sure that we're talking with the client service director from Marketron so that we can get your online mobile sign-up page set up. That's basically a code that would be popped into a window on your mobile on your website or your radio station so that listeners will have the ability to go sign up on the website and so forth. And then let's start to establish what is that needs-based database or strategy for your individual station. Where are listeners going to access the most information? It's obviously going to be a different initiative if you're a sports station versus an alternative rock station. So let's identify what works best for your specific formats and so forth so that we can serve the needs of your specific listeners and so forth. Preceding those 30 days, we're going to move into that 60-day window. And now what we're really talking about doing is heightening the overall exposure of this program. Let's maybe add in a couple of more text-to-wins. Let's try to move towards the idea of doing one per month, one per week as far as a text-to-win. Let's evaluate what that text blast is that you're sending out on a week-to-week basis. Did you experience a little opt-out after the first one and so forth? What are these value propositions that you're sending out to that core database? You just really want to monitor this over the first 60 days to make sure that we have a nice cohesive program going and that strategy is working for everybody that's involved. Let's begin to roll out that needs-based strategy that you were thinking about over the first 30 days. What are those areas of the website people are accessing the most information? We'll create some mobile databases around those and start providing content. And then let's start to integrate those 360 concepts that we were talking about a little bit earlier. Let's, if you have a mobile app for the specific radio station, let's make sure that we have a link off of a text message that allows that listener to go and download that app right onto their mobile phone. Let's begin to provide links that take them to portions of your website so we can drive traffic to your websites. Any different variables to your social networks and all those different things. Just start thinking about this and implementing these plans over those first 60 days. And then as we move into that 90-day window, those first 90 days, we really should have a pretty good mobile initiative honed and really tried and tested and really get a good reflection as to where this thing is going to go. I'd start to really be aiming for that 25% of the overall cum at that standpoint, sending out or at least activating weekly text-to-win programs and so forth, sending out a weekly text blast, making sure that we're providing those needs-based databases with the information that we promised we would be sending them. And then finally, from the standpoint of all of those 360 digital assets, really have that strategy honed at that stage of the game. Whenever we're sending a text message, it's always provide a link for them to access more information from the radio station from that initial text message and so forth. Then what's really nice is from that standpoint forward, you're really going to just utilize us for support from case studies to monthly newsletters. And then we echo a lot of that content right in our content management system. So you'll be able to access best practices and that type of thing any day of the week in order to engage different concepts and stuff moving forward. Okay, and now we'd like to give you a quick test drive of the platform. As you can see, this is an online interface. This can be accessed from any computer, anywhere where there's Wi-Fi or a internet connection. This can also be accessed on smartphone devices as well. So in the case that you were out and about at events and so forth, you'd be able to access the platform and be able to select a specific winner or something to that extent. As you can see, it's just a username and password. I'm just going to enter that here. And hit login. Okay, this is going to take us to our dashboard, and basically we developed this just to give us an idea, like a snapshot of our overall mobile strategy, how the station is performing, and it gives you just really a glimpse of what's going on in the current state of the program, so the last 30 days. As you can see, the graph that's in the middle, this is obviously a demo that we just put in here just to give you guys an idea of what it looks like, but over the last 30 days, we've had 18 impressions. That is messages coming and going from the platform. There are 9 members in the mobile databases that you have created. There are 3 campaigns that are currently active within your mobile initiative. We can track revenue by specific programs and campaigns that have been sold. So obviously we do not want to see that as a 0. So hopefully that will be growing as you move into your mobile strategy. Out of the top 5 campaigns, this is representative of the overall activity. We can then go down into more detail and identify of those top 5 campaigns, where those impressions being delivered and by which campaign. And then going back to the programming presentation where we identified that core database and some of those needs-based databases, this gives you an idea of what that core database looks like and what are the percentage of overall members within your databases that are represented in each of those specific core database and needs-based databases. We also break it down for you on carriers. So if you could see, obviously Singular, AT&T is leading this, followed by Verizon and then T-Mobile. But this gives you a nice snapshot of exactly what carriers are being accessed the most within your marketplace specific to your radio station. Also provides you with an opportunity maybe to go out and sell it from that perspective, a sponsorship to that specific carrier and that type of thing. Okay, the 3 main modules, I guess, that we would say that we use on a day-to-day basis will be M-Club, M-Talk, and M-Vote. So let me go into a little bit of detail on each of them. The M-Club is basically all of your databases that are on the platform. Going back to the core database, the core database in this case, which is text the word KRP. We're obviously having a little bit of fun with the WKRP in Cincinnati here for a demo station, but as you can see, that is their core database. Then maybe we build out an individual needs-based database for members of Dr. Johnny Fever's morning show and so forth. So his keyword is Fever to join his mobile club, and then maybe we're doing some Bengals score alerts for their specific football team, the NFL team that's in that given market. So listeners will opt into any of these individual databases, and then you guys will have the ability to be able to send specific messages to those databases. Just to give you an idea of what it looks like on the platform as far as setting up, in this case, the name on this specific campaign is the core database KRP, keyword being WKRP. short code being 68255. I threw in a sponsorship just to have access to the 160 characters, but we're really just giving you guys a test drive so you can get acquainted with the platform and how it works and so forth. And then here's a snapshot of the rebound message and then the exit message as well. Okay, I hit next, I confirm and save that program, and that is live actually on our platform currently. Okay. If I want to send out a specific message to the database, I simply hit members. As you'll notice in this lower area down here, it's actually indicating who the actual person is and so forth that has joined your mobile club, indicating gender, age, zip code, email address, and so forth. This data will be richer the more you're sending people online in order to sign up for your mobile database. These are obviously Marketron employees that we had sign up to give you guys a test drive, but in other cases where the user or the listener is just simply texting in to join your mobile club via a keyword, you're only really just going to get their phone number as far as an engagement on the platform and so forth. Okay? So if I want to send out a message to the 4 members that are currently within this mobile database, I simply hit the word send. I can provide the content. Let's say REO Speed Wagon sits down with Johnny at 9 a.m. Okay, simple thing. I'm just throwing that in there as an example. Maybe reply WKRP stop to opt out. Whenever we're sending out messages to the database, you'll want to use an opt-out opportunity for that specific listener and so forth. But nice thing about our platform is that we're actually able to go in there and schedule a specific time that message would go out. So if it is a weekend type scenario when you guys are doing something at a specific club in the marketplace, or it's a night game or something to that extent, you can actually schedule it to go out at that specific time. I think it also works better for prep, or good for prep work. Maybe you have a jock that's getting off the air on a Wednesday and they're doing prep work for their Thursday show. They can actually set up the message to go out prior to their show the following day and not have to worry about it as they're getting on air in that specific morning and so forth. I just simply hit the word send, and now I'm sending out that text message to that specific database, okay, at that specific time. So that's basically how we send out a specific message to our mobile clubs, okay? In order to just go in and set up a simple text-to-win campaign, that is what we call our mVote module. As you can see here through the tabs, we have a vote, a quiz, a sweepstakes, and an nth entry capability. I'll just give you a quick example of setting up a simple text-to-win type contest. And just for the sake of saving some time here, I'm just going to go in and just show you an edit scenario. Similar to what we were just talking about on the previous slide as far as the setting up an M club. But as you can see, the interface is basically consistent in all of our individual modules. So in this particular case, this is a text-to-win contest. All I'm basically entering here is the contest name, the specific keyword that I'm running for the specific program. We have a default in here for the short code that you've chosen for that specific radio station. If that campaign is sponsored or not, you can indicate that there, and we'll go into more detail on your admin call in order to specify exactly how that comes into play day in and day out. This would be that confirmation message that you would indicate here as far as you are officially entered to win this phenomenal prize and so forth. Maybe help equals help. As you can see in the lower right-hand corner, the characters will type off, and if you're going past the number of characters that are for the message, we'll get a red flag and tell you, hey, you've got to limit the number of characters that are being populated within the content message, or the message, or the content of the message. You can indicate the start date and end time of that specific program, and then all you're basically hitting is the word next, confirm all the information looks good to you, and you hit save. And now I've got a contest saved on the platform that I can go and do a variety of different things. In this case, I can check out the activity of what's going on. It looks like we've had 4 people that have entered this specific contest. I can identify, okay, hey, I've seen whatever that participation is and so forth. I could do a simple choose the winner type scenario here where, maybe missed that, okay. where we could choose a winner specifically. In this case, we chose the winner, it looks like in this case is 720-217-2062. If I wanted to reply to that winner specifically, I could just click that and send them a specific message, you are the winner. We'll advise you on some different strategies and overall on the admin call and so forth as you're identifying that, but you are the winner. Obviously, we're going to go into a little bit more detail when we're doing this, but just for the sake of the example, and then I just hit the word send, and we just pushed a message out to that specific winner. We could do a reply to all the non-winners or reply to all. Hey, we're going to tune in on Friday at 3 p.m. when we announce the winner and so forth. That's also going to be provided within the rebound message that you could specifically do, okay? As you can see, as we just go back and just so you can see from the from an interface perspective within the M-Vote category, we just did what was a sweepstakes, but as you can see, if we went into the voting category, all of these all the interfaces I was mentioning a little bit earlier is pretty consistent. You're going to see it's just simply entering in that. I would say it's probably one of the most user-friendly interfaces that you would see within our industry. So same goes for quizzing, and then we added in recently the nth entry opportunity where we can identify maybe your radio station 100.9 and you would like to use the 100th texter is the winner. You could identify that as number 100 and so forth, okay? You're also able to do unlimited entries, once for the life of the campaign, once per day, once for the last 24 hours, okay? I tend to move away from the nth entry just because I like to have more participation in my specific programs. And when you look at a contest, ultimately what we're trying to do is drive as many people into our mobile databases as possible. So by creating a scenario where it is the 100th texter, we do limit the ability. People will say, hey, well, you know what, they've already chose that 100th winner, so I'm not going to necessarily try and attempt to get into this contest. So if I do any nth entry scenarios, I tend to use a very high end of participation. So maybe that 5,000, 10,000th and that type of thing as far as who is the winner and so forth. So obviously what our goal is to build that mobile database. Okay, so for all your voting, all of your sweepstakes programs, you're in the M-Vote module. And then finally what we have is our M-Talk program, which allows you basically to have that interaction with the jocks, the DJs, talent, whatever you call it on your specific stations. But in this particular case, maybe we're doing a request for a specific song and so forth. All we got to do is hit activity. We see messages coming into the actual platform making requests. Hey, please play Wild Horses by the Sundays. Everybody will get a rich response back that indicates something similar to this. Thanks for the request. Keep them coming and stay tuned to hear if we play your song on air. But if we wanted to go back at a separate time, maybe we were searching for content and so forth on air, and I wanted to reach out to that listener individually, I could simply hit the reply button, populate content here within this text message response, hit the word send, and now I send a message specifically to that individual listener. And that is basically it as far as an overview on the primary modules. The only thing I would add to the M-Talk program is in some of the scenarios now where we have so many different interfaces that are open while the jocks are on air and so forth, we do have the ability within the M-Talk platform to auto-forward the text messages from specific listeners to a specific email. So in the case it was a morning show and they didn't want to go into our platform all day as they're receiving requests and so forth throughout the day, you could auto forward this to that specific jock's email address, and now they can basically get this content coming in on their email and so forth, okay? Obviously, with it being your email, you wouldn't be able to reply to this specific message because it would be a text message from a specific phone number, but still provide you with the content in order to execute your show more timely and more efficiently. One other asset that we have is obviously M-Song, and that allows us to have the ability for listeners to text in to identify the last 3 songs that are on the platform, or that are running on the radio station, so that user would send in a keyword. our platform would identify the last 3 songs, send that back to that listener, and then they would be able to identify the music and so forth. And that is it, okay? I just jumped back out on the dashboard. As you can see on the right-hand side, we continue to keep you guys updated on trends within the mobile industry and so forth, maybe suggested campaigns and best practices, constantly different information that you can access day in and day out regarding mobile. And if we're having any alerts that are going on the platform, those would be identified on this right-hand side as well. If you're having any issues with the platform whatsoever, there's 2 ways of obviously going about help. Every one of you will be identified with a client service manager that handles your account day in and day out. But really the quickest way in order to get support is basically to go into our help platform and fill out the information here, and basically we have 30 to 40 client service people that can immediately grab your ticket and get you the information that you need. But you'll certainly build a good rapport with that individual client service manager for your stations, and you can feel free to reach out to them by email as well. But this works great in every different aspect that you have, and we have 24/7 on-call support day in and day out. So please contact your client service manager with any additional questions that you might have on the platform, and this will do it as far as our overview of the Marketron Mobile Platform. Thank you. Thank you for taking some time to walk through the programming strategy for your individual radio stations. Please don't hesitate to reach out to your client service director with any additional questions, and be sure to get moving on your getting started portion of this presentation. Thank you for your time.